Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanas. This is episode 184, season 8. Today's date is December 12th, 2022, and thank you for joining me today. Another interesting show coming up. Today, I will talk about part 3 of the most popular posts on my Chicagoland Facebook page in 2022. Also, I will talk about Chicago broadcaster Floyd Brown, who just passed away a few days ago. And I will talk about his life and my memories of watching and listening to him on radio and television. And last, I will talk about Candy Cane Lane, how appropriate for this time of season. And I'll try my best to talk about that. Okay. Right now, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Kmart. And here's a commercial from 1979. It's a Christmas commercial. And I think you remember the jingle of this in the 70s. This is a Christmas version, but it's like redone as the famous jingle in the 70s. You can find those on YouTube. And I found this on YouTube. Okay, so sit back and enjoy. And I'll be right back with the program. Thank you, everyone.
Merry, Merry Christmas from your Kmart Christmas store. Save on sweaters and on hats, bowling balls and baseball bats.
Cameras, TVs, bikes and plants, goldfish, bath toys, slippers, pants.
Mirrors, dresses, perfume, socks, toasters, roasters, robes and clocks. Candy, records, films and toys at Santaland for girls and boys. Christmas smiles light every face at Kmart's Christmas saving place.
Birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, whatever the occasion, it just got a little more personal with meaningful photo gifts from Shutterfly. Add a silly photo to a gold-rimmed mug for your bestie. Put your sweet puppy on a cozy fleece blanket for your teen. Gift your husband a desktop plaque featuring all the kids. Enjoy 40% off orders over $29 with code POD40 at Shutterfly.com and make something that means something.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Kmart. It's a Christmas commercial. I remember this commercial very well. This was 1979. I was in a junior. No, was I a junior? Yeah, I was a junior in high school. Sorry, I had a memory lapse in Bogan High School. Yeah, so yeah, it's very entertaining. Kmart is still around, not in Chicago. Not. I think the last store opened in, not open. The last store closed. Excuse me, in Des Plaines, Illinois. I believe that. And the one that was near my house was at 79th Street in Harlem in Bridgeview. Also, there was one in Oak Lawn, 95th Street in Pulaski. First it was Kresge's, and then it became Kmart. Someday I'll do a podcast episode about Kmart exclusively. This will be fun. Probably in 2023 sometime. Okay. At the beginning of the program, I mentioned that I will talk about the most popular posts on my Chicagoland Facebook page in 2022. This will be part 3. Also, I'll talk about Chicago broadcaster Floyd Brown and Candy Cane Lane, and that was located on the northwest side of Chicago. Okay. One thing I'll talk about something personal real quickly. I will go to the doctor tomorrow morning. I mentioned this on the last podcast episode. Excuse me. That there's a spot on my rib, so I want to see what the urologist will say. I got the blood test and all that. I hope everything's going to be okay. I'm frightened. I'm really nervous because I don't like that. So we'll see. And I will post the latest information probably tomorrow on my social media accounts. A lot of people follow that. They love, because I have a lot of support from my family, my friends, my followers, a lot of people, especially in the media. They see that. I'm very grateful and very touched. Okay, so let's get the ball rolling. First off, we're going to talk about Floyd Brown. Okay, I saw the news about his death Saturday night, and I was very shocked. I didn't know he was alive. I forgot all about him because I haven't heard from him in years. And he was a broadcaster on WGN TV and radio, and also WMAQ radio. Now it's a score. It's not six. It's not 670 WMAQ. It's a score. I think it's WSCR. I believe. I don't listen to sports, so I don't know. Let's see. So he was 92 years old, and he had a career for over 50 years. And let's see. So let's get started. I will talk about his biography. Okay, and he was born in Dallas in November 5th, 1930, and then he moved to Washington D.C. before he arrived in Chicago. He graduated high school there. Then him and his mother moved to Chicago, and he studied accounting at Northwestern University in Evanston. And while he was going to school, he worked as a porter at the Drake Hotel. Yeah, and then and according to his son, his name was Keith Brown. He got to start in radio while he was in the military, and he was stationed in Alaska. And I guess he got hooked, and so he found his calling. And then he was hired as an engineer for the radio station in Elgin, WRMN. I don't know, it's still around. That was in the early 50s. And, they wouldn't, a lot of people wouldn't, he didn't go on the air because at the time, there was, African Americans did not perform on television and radio. That's how it was. And now it's more diversified because management was afraid. People would, freak out. It's kind of silly. And then one day he filled in the morning, and it was his 6 a.m. shift, early in the morning. And you know what? It turned out everything was fine. People liked listening to him, and he got his own show, and that's wonderful. And then he left the Elgin station and started WYNR, and that was a rock station in Chicago. I'm not familiar with that one. And then in 1965, he moved to WMAQ, and he got his own show, and it was called The Floyd Brown Show. And I had an ad posted on one of my pages on vintage Chicago TV guides and magazines, ads. I put that, I post TV guides, TV ads, like that. And he was there for a while. And then he left WMQ and moved to WGN in 1971. And then he hosted his own show on the radio. Then he went to television. And that's where I first remembered him. He did the sports. He was the announcer off camera. Like when the caller ID would appear at the end of a TV show and starting in the beginning. This is WGN, Channel 9 in Chicago, and he wasn't the only one that did that. Mary D did that. Unfortunately, she passed away early this year. And also Bob Bell, Buzzle the Clown, he did that. And there was Marty McNeely. I think Larry Broderick, maybe he did that. Jack Taylor, I don't know. Others, but they did the announcement of that, and I remember Floyd Brown's voice. Oh, he sounded wonderful. And also he was on the news in the 70s. He did the sports and also filled in, when anchors were not there, like today. Yeah, he did the news. I don't know if he did the weather. Maybe he did. I don't know. And there's a clip of him on YouTube that he did the Wall Street Business Report on Channel 9, courtesy of Fuzzy TV, Chicago Museum, headed by Rick Klein. You can listen to that. And let's see what else. Like I said, he did he did the sports. A lot of people remember that. Also, he did Night Beat on Channel 9. That aired in the starting in the 60s, I believe. We got to do an episode on that. I believe Carl Grayson did the first one. He was the original voice of Creature Features on Channel 9 in Chicago. And then it was Marty McNeely. So Carl Grayson and Marty McNeely did the news on Nightbeat. Aired right after the 10:30 movie on Channel 9. And I used to watch that in the 80s when I was studying and going to college. I'll talk about that someday. Because Nightbeat, did I say Nightline or Nightbeat? I think I said Nightline, but it's Nightbeat. I don't know. Forgive me. And yeah, so Floyd Brown did fill in at times, there's no video of that. I wish I could see it, but there is video of Jack Taylor and Marty McNeely doing Nightbeat. And he worked there for a long time, and then he retired. Probably in the 80s, and then he moved over to WTTW Channel 11 in Chicago, and he hosted a show called 30 Good Minutes. He also hosted a game show, I believe, called Know Your Heritage. I should have done a little research on that. I remember that. I remember watching that. I think that aired in the weekends, Saturday or Sunday. That was kind of cool. I think it's a quiz show about Black history. It's probably about that. And then he retired in 1996. And also, a lot of people remember what he did on his programs. He sang that song Kumbaya, Kumbaya. He did that on I don't know if he did that on television, but I know he did it on the radio, and that he closed that on the show. And a lot of people remember that, and he sang it beautifully. That's nice, very nice. And I was very saddened that he died because he lived a long life. And so I posted a screenshot of him on my social media pages, and a lot of people remembered him. Yeah, it's nice. And so I decided to do a podcast episode about him. I felt good about that. Okay, let's see. Next up, we are going to talk about Candy Cane Lane. As a Southsider, I don't know much about this particular event that happened. This happened in the late 50s, and it started through the 60s and ended in the 70s because of the energy crisis in 1973. I believe that was when Richard Nixon was president. That was a big deal back then. We had a brownout and all that. And I was very young when that happened, so I don't remember. Okay, so Candy Cane Lane was Christmas displays at this certain neighborhood in Chicago on the Northwest Side. It was in the Dunning neighborhood. Okay. But it was in the area was called Scoresville. I don't know. How do you pronounce it? That bordered Belmont Avenue. And it was Belmont Avenue to Addison Street, and from Harlem Avenue to Narragansett Avenue. That like that. So it was let's see how many blocks. It was 8 blocks west, and let's see, 4 blocks north. And there have been pictures circling around the internet for years, and I never posted much about Candy Cane Lane on Van Chicagoland on my Facebook page. I should have done that because people talk about this every year on social media like that. And so everyone will get involved and display their Christmas. They connect all their Christmas lights. They connect them, put them on display right in front. And I don't know which streets had these lanes. So Candy Cane Lane, I don't know which street it was on. But the other lanes that were associated with Christmas, there was Vigil Lane, trimmed with 10-foot candlesticks. There was Reindeer Lane, probably displayed with reindeers, of course. And there was Poinsettia Lane. There's photos of that. And there was also Santa Claus Lane. So, and you have Santa Claus waving from every chimney or up front, like that. And that would have been kind of cool. But I was too young back then to know about it. I wish I would. My mom would ask. I would ask my parents to drive me over there to take a look at it. But my parents didn't drive when I was growing up. My mom started driving probably in the mid 70s. My dad never drove. Never. He depended on public transportation to go to work, wherever he wanted to go. Okay, and so, like I said, this tradition ended in 1973. That's a shame. And some people wrote some books on the subject, but people still decorate their homes, elaborately, of course, as usual, just to show off, or get their house recognized on television, like they do every year. They do that in my neighborhood too. I haven't done that in a while. Like in the evening, get in my car and drive around and see the lights. I should do that because there's a few homes in my neighborhood that do that, and it's gorgeous. But today, if you want to find homes that are decorated with lots of Christmas lights and a lot of Santa Clauses and reindeers and snowmen and on their front lawns, you can. There's apps for that on your phone and on your computer or your websites. That is, you can do Google Maps, and they would tell you where you find it in your neighborhood. Or if you want to go elsewhere to look, you could do that. But that was very unique at the time. It was very early because in the old days, people didn't really decorate. They just decorated inside. They have their Christmas tree, or they hang up lights. They do maybe hang up lights in the house, and put like decorations on picture frames, like that, or just put the Christmas stockings by your fireplace. People still do that to this day. I don't have a fireplace, so I hang the stockings on the banister of my house, like that. My mom does that. Okay. So that's it for the Candy Cane Lane. Right. The last thing I'll do is part 3 of the most popular posts on my Van Chicagoland page. Before I get started, I'm going to take a quick break. And I'll be right back. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Atlanta, Apple is open for small business. That's right. We're here to make starting and running your business simpler. With privacy and security built in on all devices, it's easy for you to protect your customers' data. And if you need hardware or software support, you'll get advice from business experts at no cost whatsoever. So you can focus more on the soup du jour and less on, the other stuff. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/small business or visit an Apple store to learn more.
Okay, everyone, I am back. Before I took a break, I'm going to, I said I was going to talk about part 3 of Van Chicagoland Facebook page, that is, most popular post of 2022. This will be part 3. So let's get started. Okay, I hope I get this in the right order. I goofed up last time. So nervous. All right, this is July. And on July 2022, the most popular post then was a photo, which I would, of Fraser Thomas, that hosted Family Classics, also Garfield, Goose, and Friends on WGN Channel 9 in Chicago. The reason I posted this was it was to let everyone know that I would put together a video celebrating the 60th anniversary of Family Classics on WGN. And I posted this photo of Fraser Thomas. He's holding a book, his library, he's at his den, and he's by the bookcase. That took off, so that was very popular. So I was letting people know that I was working on it, of this wonderful celebration, this wonderful anniversary of this lovely TV show that we used to watch first on Friday nights and Sunday afternoons, excuse me. and he showcased classic movies, pretty not violent ones, family movies. They used to show all the movies all the time. They repeated that. Like for example, Christmas Carol for during the Christmas season, Miracle on 34th Street, The Mark of Zorro, Captain Blood, Treasure Island, The Canterville Ghost, Boys Town. They did that. The Adventures of Robin Hood. Yeah, everyone had a favorite. They really had a favorite of those. There were so many. The Adventures of Gulliver. My favorite. I'm trying to think. What was my favorite? Um, Probably the Christmas one. Yeah, Christmas Carol or A Miracle on 34th Street. The Christmas Carol was my favorite. Like that. And so he selected it. They were edited slightly, according to some sources. So I put together the video. It is on YouTube if you care to watch it. It consists of ads and photos and slides from the show. Also, I did a podcast episode. You can search it. I talked about that. And I wrote a story on my blog, which you can find it on vanchicagoland.blog, of my memories of watching family classics. Yeah, I had a good time putting that together. Yeah, that was the 60th anniversary. I did something similar the previous year for Bozo Circus. I did that. Also, the 50th anniversary of Creature Features. That was in 2020. That was the most fun. I like that, but well, yeah, all of them were. Bozo Circus. That took a while to put that together. And I did 4 parts because there was so much material to cover because of all the performers, and the show lasted a long time. It really did. And Family Classics ended, I think, in the 90s, something like that. Fraser Thomas died in 1985. Roy Leonard, who was on television and had his own show. He had his own show on TV and on the radio. He took over. It was okay. It's pretty good. I liked the man. I really did. But there was none other for Fraser Thomas. He was perfecto. He really was. Okay. Next up, this is August this year, and I posted a photo of a Sears store in Orland Square Mall, located in Orland Park, Illinois. And I remember this very well. When I found this, and this was courtesy of the Chicago Tribune, I remember that store looking like that. Orland Square opened, I think, in 75, around there. Yeah, I was in school. I was in grade school at the time. The area was growing rapidly. It was like a small town, but it was growing. And they opened the mall there. And it had Marshall Fields, had J.C. Penney, had Carson's. They had all stores. Yeah, the most main anchors there. Then they opened Sears, and when I posted this photo, a lot of people loved it. Yeah, they remember Sears the way it was. And I shop there once in a while. I haven't gone there lately because the mall by me is Chicago Ridge Mall. They had the Sears there, but it closed last year, I think. Yeah, last year. The one in Orland Square, that closed before that, I think 2020, I believe, and that store is still vacant. There were reports on the news that they were going to build a theater, big screen theaters, just like the Chicago Ridge Mall has. They had an Orland Square, excuse me, they had the Orland Square Theater, but that was not in the mall. That was that was elsewhere. It was in the mall, but it's outside. I remember going there. The first time I went to the theater, I saw the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind that was released in 1978. That was fun. Yeah, I went with a group of kids and some parents, and I enjoyed it. So as for Sears, It's still vacant. The plan fell through. I don't know what they're going to do. They should build something. That would have been kind of cool to have a theater. The nearest theater of in Orland Park, you have to go to Marcus Cinema. That's way down south. I've been there a few times. It's nice, but you should have done that there. So now it remains vacant. Hopefully they'll put something there. Hopefully the Sears in Chicago Ridge Mall will put something because that place is huge. It has 2 floors, so it stands empty. Um, what I was going to say, yeah. So at Orleans Square Mall, I don't go there often, like I said before. The last time I went there was the Apple Store. I might go again, buy a new computer. That's where I bought mine over there. So they moved it to another location in the mall. It was I'm trying to remember. It was on the first floor. Then they moved it somewhere else. And it's been a while. It's kind of cool. It's really nice. So Sears is a memory. Now I can post photos of Sears stores on Vanished Chicagoland because it has vanished for the most part. There's a few stores lingering around in the United States, but not in Chicago. The last one closed was in Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg. That closed right after Chicago Ridge Mall. So it closed in 2021. That's a shame. Okay. Last one. I will talk about in September, Madigan's closing store. I found this photo in the Chicago Tribune. I clipped it, downloaded, and this one was located at Yorktown Mall in Lombard, Illinois, and they had locations all over Chicago. But it was funny. I posted that, and it just took off. People loved that store. They miss it. There was one in Chicago Ridge Mall, and there was I remember in Ranhurst. There was there. I don't know where else. I can't think of. Maybe Old Orchard. I don't think in Oak Brook. I don't think so. No. So the first store opened, I believe, was in Chicago at West Madison Street and Pulaski. That was a huge shopping mecca in that area. At the time they had Goldblatt's across the street. They had other stores there. It was very like in the 40s and 50s and the 60s. Then it went. The neighborhood changed, and then everything went downhill. There's still stores, but not like back then. So that's where Madigan started, and people miss that store very much. They love the clothes, especially the women. They had beautiful dresses. For guys, they had suits, ties, shoes. I think they sold shoes, maybe. I went a couple of times to Chicago Ridge Mall in the 80s. It was nice. And I remember the ties I bought there. The neckties. They were beautiful like that. And I'm not sure when it went out of business. Probably sometime in the 90s, it went away. And I wish they opened one in Fort City where I used to live, but they didn't. So that post was popular. So I covered those 3 months. Excuse me. July, August, and September. Okay, we have part 4 coming up in another show, and that would be the last of that. Okay. So that'll be all for today. I'll do a quick recap of what I discussed on today's program. I talked about part 3 of the most popular posts on my Vanished Chicagoland Facebook page for 2022. Also, I discussed Chicago broadcaster Floyd Brown, passed away a few days ago. And also Candy Cane Lane that was located in the Shorch Village neighborhood of Chicago, which is really Dunning. Remember the hospital here? That'd be kind of cool to talk about that. It'd be interesting. Okay. So that'll be all for today. I will do another podcast episode probably this coming weekend and a few more days left of 2022. So this is Pete Castanes, your host for Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. Thank you again for joining me. I had a good time talking to you. And So it's bye-bye for me, and here is Ray Rayner with a little traveling music saying bye, bye, bye. So take care, everyone. So long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.